All right, we are back now. Hopefully that fixed everything. All right, I'll wait till everyone piles in right now. I'll wait till everyone piles in. All right. I have to refresh my browser to come back. Streamlabs. Everyone piles in. Now I think the okay, so stream's working now.
Only accomplishing that. Or to like
Comment.
like
The way you're on my chat, why would I fuck that keep you on here? We're gonna meet you.
make optics look
Jesus
bad.
Christ.
Like MLK protesters.
Thank you.
It was dope. What was that?
Is that cool?
Thank you. Don't give the cops the
I
heartbeat.
didn't know he had anything
Let me
as a
know
goal.
before
I don't
you
know
do the
anything really
heartbeat so I
about
can
him.
put on
I've only seen him a
protester.
couple times.
No
I
heartbeat
watched
for
streams of
LAPD.
other people. I've never watched one of
guys?
his streams.
Sworn
I've
me
never watched
before you do
anyone
it.
else's stream out here. I'm gonna be
Come on,
completely
donuts
honest.
and coffee time, and then you guys
I've
can
only
watch our
witnessed
live
what I've
stream.
witnessed.
Everyone come over
And
here,
I've seen
like the
some things
video, like
online.
the video. Let's get
I
this likes
saw a
up on
video
this
of
one.
the
I like your
giraffe
how the
guy
white
getting
leg.
arrested the other day.
It's kind of
Come
cool
on
how
in.
he stands.
Stream's fixed.
Like this.
Huh.
Who was attacked over 3 weeks ago?
I mean, it's not a blanket, but it's like.
Oh, the guy who donated to me the other day?
Yeah.
I tried to ask him for an
Oh
interview. He
shit.
wouldn't
We
come.
got other problems in the city, guys. Maybe low key they like my company. Maybe low key. Hey,
I've been there.
Facebook dating doesn't work out all the time, okay? If you learn how to talk to a female in person, it'll work out much better for you.
Who the fuck is talking?
The Ryan guy.
All right?
Something on the descend, thankfully, coming down. So happened twice from that earlier incident, and then I got shot a few times in the legs. Not nearly as bad. Hold on. I think I should just keep my mask on. Stacey, I'm sorry. The problem they're like, you nerd, get off the crosswalk.
All right.
They're not going to catch me slipping on a technicality. Paid my parking, used a crosswalk. They're not going to bring me in on something tiny. No, thank you. I'm not trying to accrue anything. I cut the corner one time, you guys.
Bruh, this bitch is annoying.
Jenny, that's all right. I'm just like wondering, like the evolution of things is wild.
Like the evolution of things is wild. Oh my god.
The evolution of the gear is getting out of control. We have
Bruh.
some water. Yay. Hi, friends. You're still here. How are you?
Good.
How's it going?
It's good. Just made a report.
Yes. Hold on.
Don't these people have any lives, man?
Thanks, Bowie, man. Man, if y'all are in Portland, go see Duncan Trussell for me this week. He's had like 4 shows this week here in Portland. Go check him out for me.
It's a kid's.
I know, they did. They ruined the fucking... He still has his Nerf gun, so I don't know. We gotta watch him. When they leave their Nerf guns down, then I'll go home. Because I don't know why he has it. That's literally why I'm here. To make sure no one gets hurt. Because they already beat people with their horses today. And I have it all on video and posted.
Dumb bitch.
Yeah, so
Who cares?
we're just keeping an eye on him. They should pick it up since Karen Bass cut sanitation to give them extra money. Absolutely. They didn't give anyone a chance to pick it up because they told everyone to get the fuck out.
Yeah, no one cares. You protesters, like, bruh, no one fucking cares. Man, these people are so fucking annoying, bro.
You're amazing too.
No, it's for the night.
Oh, what happened, guys? Like
We're
recapping.
here for the big gassing.
Okay, well, there was a protest.
And then all I was like,
Okay, well, there was a protest against ICE,
we're unprepared.
and the No Kings protest, and LAPD crept here. Basically, I didn't even get to enjoy the protest because I came to see if they were here. I had a feeling, and once I saw them here, I lost it. No.
He's my right home.
I didn't march because I came here to scope out if they were here. They were here.
You're right.
Really?
Oh shit! I don't know. I'm not from here.
Oh,
Retreat.
We're gonna do this together.
Leave the area.
What?
They took grant. So they took.
Leave the area. Oh, you left.
That's who that was.
Leave the area.
All right, so maybe I'll be out. Holy
Leave
shit!
the area.
Oh my god, I hate that so much. But I'm gonna keep poking around. We're gonna save. How long are you gonna be here for?
What are we rounding up for? What else? Leave the area.
What are they? Hold on.
That was funny.
All right, well, good luck. Keep me posted.
Thank you.
I'll be around. Do you have another option if I'm not?
Yeah.
I can try to find one.
No.
Because the problem is the max closes at midnight.
Oh, yeah.
It's late at night anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll figure this out. We'll get you home. Goodness gracious.
7 minutes.
That is
The worst case scenario.
That little one keeps looking at me.
driver getting drunk.
See that little tiny one right there?
He has one goal.
Smiling and
They're
looking
you have
like,
to be
bro,
because
get
I
it
need to know.
together.
I didn't think of that.
No, I'm good. I'm good. They irritated me.
Or like
Bro,
build
he
a
wants
Uber.
me to do
What
that.
the hell? There's no plan B. There's no plan B.
You're not gonna, no
Dang
way.
it. Oh my gosh.
Right here.
Yeah, don't forget to take care of yourself. All right, so I have to get one kid home
Look,
tonight.
I bet you Friday anything. Look at him, look.
Bruh.
Sorry, friends. Right now it is 11:53, so it's almost midnight. We're crawling again. So I
I'm
might
not
just
blowing you a
keep.
kiss.
I have my phone plugged in.
Fucking Orozco drained me today with that.
Relax, he does.
Yeah, he's
Oh my god, you guys should have been
fuck.
carpooling. You guys
Yeah,
should,
you
his
gotta take that
ride
badge
was
off,
the
and
one
then
to
even
take.
with the badge off, he's not really my type.
I should just
Like,
keep my
what are you
mask
gonna do?
on.
And even if he takes the badge off, he wants to.
Chewy, oh my gosh, get out of here. Steph, thanks so much for all the love today. Thanks so much for pushing the page, for modding. Somebody lost their umbrella.
They're not leaving.
For taking care of this space. Thank you,
I know.
all of you guys.
He keeps looking. Where is he?
Nikki, I heard that
At least the
10
guy that
p.m. was
sat here
the
next
sound
to
ordinance,
Scott,
but not a
that's the one I
physical
was worried
curfew like you're seeing in other places. 3 a.m. You guys got to get to bed. Yeah, I was gonna say I might put my.
Oh my God, when? And then yesterday, when I went to the
I don't
LA
know, it's such a
River,
fucking
they were posted right
ordeal
there
to put it
because they didn't want people to celebrate. There was Porsches pulling up, fucking Toyota. Leave the area!
Oh no! Don't say sorry, friend.
Looks like the sound got cut it a little bit. Law enforcement leaving? Law enforcement leaving? That it? Is that it? Oh, come on, man. Tell me that's it. You telling me I have to restart my stream over and now they're already at the end of it? Oh, this is so fucking gay. This is so gay. Come on, man. Man, we wanted to see some. We wanted to see some head bangs tonight, man. What is going on, law enforcement? That it? Damn. Yeah, I thought I was gonna get excited. I believe DJB ended all the coverages. Disappointed right now. I wanted to see some headbangs, but unfortunately we didn't get none of that stuff tonight. We say no kings. The most dumbest thing I ever seen on my planet. This whole protest was dumb. I want to see if someone else is on right now streaming protests. I wonder. Let's see what this Packy's doing.
Like basically breaking the fuck in, dude. And look,
He's saying what everyone's thinking. I know these guys go break.
I know there's gonna be people in the chat are like, how can you fucking say that? Blah 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 blah. I mean, dude, look, myself before I am with that side or this side or whatever, the way it makes me feel on January 6th, like I said, is they planned to take that fucking shit over. They fucking planned that shit.
Guys said they plan to take over on January 6th. Hell, they had a bunch. They had literally a dozen FBI agents in regular clothes coordinating the riots. It was a setup. January 6th was a freaking setup.
January 6th was not done by only Republicans. I mean, hey, look, I'm not. When I say they, I'm not saying it was Donald Trump. I'm not saying it was Joe Biden. I'm not saying it was the left. I'm not saying it was the right. What I'm saying.
You guys got a painful voice. But let's see this one right here. This is interesting.
Trump's a. Yeah, why is that? I don't know. We don't like him.
So let's see. So Trump protest backfires as no King rallies fail to draw support from young voters and moderates. Let's see. Interesting. Let's tap in right quick and see what these young voters have got to say. Of course, they betrayed their party.
Trump's a. Yeah, why is that? I don't know. We don't like him. That's the word around here.
Any particular reason why you don't like him?
No clue at all. I'm just going with everybody else saying.
What in the fuck is going on here, bro? What the fuck, man?
Currently at the No Kings protest here in Carrollton, Texas, and it is almost exclusively all old white people. Kind of interesting.
What is going on here? Right? What is wrong with the boomers, man? Well, not the boomers. Yeah, the boomers actually like. What the fuck? They don't like Trump? I'm confused right now. Why do the boomers not like Trump?
Demographics.
So as
Oh, that's right. Their healthcare bills. That's why they don't like it.
many of you know,
But the healthcare system was fucked up even before Trump even took office. Why they having mad? Why they're mad about? They're really believing what Chuck Schumer's really selling them about the healthcare stuff. The healthcare system has been fucked up long before Trump even took office. That's been a problem. And you think that's Trump's fault? These people need to get fucking real.
Oh, today, October 18th, is No King's Day in America, which of course means that a bunch of liberals are taking to the streets and making complete fools out of themselves while trying to protest Donald Trump. But I have to say, in their honor, I was genuinely considering driving to a Spirit Halloween and buying a king's crown just to wear for this video. But after deciding I did not want to drive that far, we're going to do this the ghetto way instead. So there you go. All right, happy King's Day.
that.
Everyone put on your crowns in honor of the Democrat Party. Now, some of you may be asking why the crown is not very realistic. You know, it doesn't even move alongside your head. Look, what can we say? The production value here is limited. We're a little bit cheap because we do not have millions of dollars from George Soros to AstroTurf or CGI this. So there you go, all right? So anyways, though, again, happy King's Day, everyone. And that said, I do find it to be incredibly interesting that earlier this week, because we've been talking a lot about Antifa and the obvious and known communist infiltration of the Democrat Party as an institution, about the fact that many Antifa militants were looking to infiltrate the No Kings protest today to push their violent communism on kind of normal liberal Democrat voters. And of course, for doing so, we were called conspiracy theorists. No, that's not the case. And of course, guys, the No Kings protests are simply a grassroots organic movement of normal Americans who are just tired of Donald Trump's authoritarianism. And in no way is this AstroTurf paid or propped up. And then magically, across many No Kings protests today, what do we see? Open endorsements and defending and support of Antifa, aka militant violent communism, which I've been saying is exactly everything that the Democrat Party stands for. We saw multiple different signs calling or cheering for political violence, even mainstream Democrat politicians like Brandon Johnson clearly egging these people on and knowing exactly.
Brandon Johnson is, that dude's a communist, 100%. Like, Brandon Johnson's just a violent nig. He's the worst mayor in the history of Chicago. Like, he's literally trying to destroy Chicago. Like, he's committing a genocide without really telling you he's committing a genocide. That's how bad the rhetoric Johnson pushes out there. Him, JB Pritzker, they're doing the worst job of running Chicago. Like, Chicago's crime is out of pocket, it's out of control. Those two can't even get it under control. And what they're doing, instead of having Donald Trump coming in there trying to help them fix it, they're fighting against him, saying that we can't arrest our way out of this problem. Yes, you can. Instead, you're just letting the fucking Chicago just burn to the ground by a bunch of violent criminals, man. Like, people can't enforce their damn jobs, and then yet you're just sitting up here going back and forth and calling Trump an authoritarian or whatever, and pushing this dangerous rhetoric and then saying that this is authoritarianism. Enforcing our laws is authoritarian, Johnson? Come on, Brandon. Enforce our laws is authoritarian? This is insane to me, man.
Exactly what they're doing. But at the same time, again, if you want to speculate about that Soros network type of stuff, hilariously, again, the so-called grassroots normal protests, especially in New York City today, seem to magically dissipate once the clock hit 1 to 2 p.m., which also is a very strange type of pattern or behavior for something that's not being organized and paid for. And then, of course, across the country, following a trend you've seen time and time again, outside of, like, super major blue cities, the protests are pathetic and, of course, full of geriatrics, because these are the only people that the Communist Democrat Party, frankly, has left to even lead their revolution. Okay, they've completely lost the youth. Even the minorities do not really care that much to show up anymore. And so let's, of course, as usual, drag a bunch of grandmas and grandpas out of the nursing home and say, Donald Trump! Whoa. Okay, anyways, with that said, guys, we'll bring you the full coverage of the No Kings protests in today's video and kind of, again, explain to you how this vindicates many of the patterns we've been talking about, whether it's the extremism or the fact that the Democrat base is seemingly getting older and older, which is also an interesting phenomenon. First, though, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Make sure you do so, because if you subscribe, I'm told you get a free...
I definitely did see a stat last year of how many young men are becoming red-pilled, basically becoming more conservative, more right-wing, compared to the growing number of women who are becoming liberal. It's definitely a great awakening right now. What we're experiencing right now is awakening. And what that awakening entails that young men are waking up quicker and faster, becoming more religious, more conservative compared to young women. But it goes to show you why we need to fix this problem, because feminism is indoctrinating these women to become violent, extreme leftists. What these white liberal women are. So let's jump back in.
King's crown, just like this. I don't know. YouTube told me that, not me. That's a joke, okay? But anyways, that said, again, we were told this is not true. Antifa is just an idea. It's not an organization. And the Democrat Party does not support communism or political violence. And yet, when you take a look, for instance, at the New York City protests earlier today, take a look at what you notice in terms of these signs. There's a bunch of them. It's almost like they were made all in conjunction. And take a look, right? So... Right, so we have brought up time and time again, the fact that Antifa, anti-fascist action is what it is short for, since its inception by the KPD in 1920s and 1930s Germany, is and always has been a militant, communist, paramilitary organization. But of course, this is the type of revisionist history that the Democrat Party tries to make, which is to say that, oh, well, that means the World War II soldiers must have been Antifa. No, just because they were fighting fascism does not mean they were synonymous with violent communist militancy, which is, of course, exactly what Antifa is. You can make that argument perhaps about the Red Army and the Eastern Front, but of course not here. And yet, what do many of these signs say, right? Winston Churchill, as one example, clearly must have been Antifa, even though he was not a communist. Again, revisionist history. Now, this also includes some modern Democrat politicians like Gavin Newsom and Zoran Mondani. AOC, by the way, I'm fully happy to accept the fact that they are Antifa. Again, they are indeed violent militant communists. So is Jimmy Kimmel. Thank you for admitting it, Democrats. I mean, we've been trying to say that about you for a very long time, but you claim it's not true. Okay, well, there you go, right? A full and total endorsement. But again, this is to say what? Far from condemning Antifa or condemning communism or Marxism or the extremism on their side, here you see these people openly embracing it. As a matter of fact, they're attempting very hard to try to mainstream themselves through the lens of saying, look, that's the whole Democrat Party. And so they are, right? The whole Democrat Party is communist, right? They stand for communism as an institution. Thank you for informing us, ladies and gentlemen, what we already knew all along. Of course, Never Trumper George Conway showed up today in the DC protest wearing a shirt himself saying, quotes, I am Antifa. So that is an admission of what? He is a radical, violent communist terrorist. These people are just saying it themselves. They're openly endorsing it and sponsoring it. By the way, you want to make this kind of like both sides argument, because that's what they always try to say. Oh, there's political extremism. There's violence on both sides. Okay, in only one political party is it okay to actually embrace the extremism, right? Because of the fact, largely actually, that communists and Marxists have created the social norms and kind of moral standards of our society. In the eyes of people, it is perfectly okay, for instance, for like self-avowed communists to just be protesting as mainstream Democrats. Could you imagine that in the reverse, right? Would it be okay to show up to a conservative protest or rally wearing a KKK outfit? Would you be ostracized at all for doing that? Of course you would. You'd be kicked out. Frankly, half the people would assume you were some type of Fed or left-wing infiltrator. And yet, here we are, right? These people openly embracing their extremism, and much like they say, right, as one example, what do they say? Oh, Antifa just means anti-fascism. Not true, but Antifa just means anti-fascism. So if you're against Antifa, if you're against violent communist militancy, then you must be a fascist. It's the same argument they make with this no kings garbage, right? They say, oh, well, the Americans are just protesting against the idea of having a king or an authoritarian. So if you're against no kings, you must be an authoritarian. Also not true. This is the same game they play with anti-racism, right? If you're against anti-racism, if you're against reparations and radical resentment of white people and basically black nationalism in the United States, then of course that must make you a racist. No, these are semantic and dialectic games played by communists. That's the same thing they're doing here. And not only should we notice it, we should take that one step further. Again, mainstream Democrats are embracing violence and Marxism. So let it be said, every single time they say they are Antifa, yes, we should absolutely believe them, because we know exactly what Antifa is, and whatever word games they want to play about, oh, but the World War II soldiers were Antifa. No, they were not. And again, we know exactly what you are standing for. So that said, here's some other protest signs you see across the country. If you don't like being called fascist, then stop being fascist. 8647, which we know what that means. Okay, another one here reads, again, 8647 over in Chicago. We saw multiple signs that said free Luigi, of course referring to Luigi Mangione. So, let it be said, many of the supposed mainstream normal Democrats, definitely not communists, but of course at the same time, right, they're the same thing. So I don't think there's much of a distinction. Another free Luigi sign here. These people who claim, the politicians are like, we condemn violence, our base is not violent. Oh, openly holding signs, celebrating violent murderers. Okay, go figure, right? Typical. Of course, you also see a common trend seen at left-wing protests, which is foreign flags, in this case, the Mexican flag. That, of course, is everything that these people are all about, whether that's standing for other countries other than America or political violence or communism. And there's a weird intersection. Why? Because all of those things mutually are against America. Here's another sign that really does sum it up, by the way, from a guy dressed up in black bloc. And his sign reads, and I quote, good Nazi equals dead Nazi, right? The only good Nazi is a dead Nazi. And you might see a sign like this and say, oh, well, what's the problem with that, Vince? Aren't you against Nazis? Yes, I am. However, these people, of course, refer to anyone who's remotely to the right of them, right? You could be a moderate Republican voter. Anyone who votes Republican, or ever has done so in their lives or has remote sympathies for maybe not being violent communists, they refer to as Nazis. Which, by the way, Antifa, dating back all the way to Weimar Germany, that is the exact type of game that they play. They even went against the moderate kind of anti-Nazi movements because they said you're not tough enough on Nazis and therefore you're also a Nazi, you're also a fascist. And so what is this basically a pretext of, as the liberal base is telling us openly? It is a justification to commit violence against anyone who is conservative because, again, they label all of those people Nazis and they say the only good Nazis are dead Nazis. As Andy No here points out, they say this and then label, yes, all political opponents Nazis so that one of their comrades will murder again. There's only one way that can be interpreted, and yet amidst all of this, what is Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson saying? Of course, egging on the very violence that he has encouraged in his streets through the way he's handling the ICE Midway Blitz operation. Take a listen.
Are you all ready to defend this democracy? Are you ready to fight fascism? Are you prepared to destroy authoritarianism once and for all? Let the world hear you, no peace!
So this is the exact meaning of stochastic terrorism, because some people might sit there and say, Vince, you're being bad faith. He's practicing the normal First Amendment in the sense that he's just saying we're against fascism, we're against authoritarianism. What's wrong with that? Well, again, what's a major part of that chant? No peace. What does Brandon Johnson know has been happening in his city of Chicago repeatedly? Attempted attacks and murder attempts against ICE agents. And yet he still goes on and says this anyway. By the way, this is only a couple of weeks after, you might remember because we covered it. Brandon Johnson said that the Trump administration was declaring a civil war on the streets of Chicago. Like, not in a peaceful or metaphorical sense. He compared it to the actual Civil War, which of course was a real war. He said the right wing wants a rematch of the Civil War, and Trump is bringing war to our streets, and we have to resist it, is essentially, to paraphrase exactly what was spoken there. To which I say, what's the only way, especially amidst the known fact that there's already a bunch of violence in the situation, how is that supposed to...
Yeah, these guys are literally trying to push us towards a civil war. Like, the Dems are really trying to speed run to a civil war. That's what they want. They want a civil war. I don't want no civil war with these people. I don't. But right now, we got to make sure these people never hold office again, because if they hold office, they're going to destroy anyone that's a right winger in 2028. If they hold office again, anybody that's conservative, right wing, whatever, they are going to come after us and they're going to kill us. I'm not even exaggerating this. They're going to take us out. They're like, going to take us to a field, like you see in these cartel movies when they take some guy out to the field and they execute him. That's exactly what the Dems are going to do to us. They are coming for our heads. They're coming to kill us. Like, these people, if they hold office in 2028, we have to prevent this from ever happening again. We have to prevent them from holding office, because if they hold office again, we're screwed. It's over with. Ticking time bombs going off. We're going to continue on with Vince's breakdown of this whole No Kings rally. I'll fix me some food right quick, chat. I'll be right back.
To be interpreted, if not just simply a call for violence. Same thing here with the no peace garbage and all of that. But of course, we know this to be the case, right? Because, you know, a lot of people try to excuse the Democrat politicians.
By the way, tomorrow, back to our regular schedule news coverage program. Like I said, we got LaToya James indictment, we got John Bolton indictment, we got war with Venezuela coming, Israel possibly breaking the ceasefire. Going to cover all of that tomorrow.
They sit there and say that, oh, you know, there's a distance between them and Antifa. Antifa don't even like the Democrats because they're like revolutionary communists. And I always point out, no, that's not really true, right? They do kind of pretend to be a little different from each other. But obviously, when you look at a normal Democrat protest, what happens? Why are there all these support of Antifa and Antifa types infiltrating in the protest themselves? Why are they not condemned? Because ultimately, these people know they're working on the same side. The agenda of one group is to seem palatable to normal Americans so that way they can get elected. That's the Democrat Party. The agenda of Antifa is more like the violent paramilitary aspect, but they're moving the country in the same direction. Either way, there's a reason why Brandon Johnson openly makes excuses and basically crafts a police policy that allows for violence out in his streets, because again, this is exactly what they stand for. And through this whole No Kings thing, all these different signs, all these different types of support, you are seeing that in full action. Now, that said, we've also been speaking about the astroturf nature of even Antifa, in the sense that while there are definitely violent communists in this country, they're not coming from the grassroots. They're not simply being born out of nowhere. No, indeed, there is a lot of dark money, of course, funding the far left, propping up these protests. Now, I'm not here to say anything because I don't have proof of anything, but I do, and many others are pointing out how interesting it was that today, after there was a pretty sizable protest in New York City, at exactly 1 p.m., all of these No Kings protesters seemed to almost immediately disperse, almost as if this was astroturf, almost as if I didn't know better, I would think that maybe, you know, the kind of the clock, the paycheck runs out at 1 p.m. and that's when they can go home. I don't know, but check it out for yourself. You can see there, it kind of just mysteriously vanishes. They all just started going home. Wondered why that could be the case.
View on Fox News ahead of these rallies saying, quote, they say they're referring to me as a king. I am not a king. And so, of course, we have been listening in and watching. Also overseas, a few hundred Americans are gathering in Madrid to hold their own version of the No Kings rally. So No Kings, that theme was originally orchestrated by the 50-51 movement. It's a national movement made up of everyday Americans who stand up for democracy against what they call authoritarian actions of the Trump administration.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm sure that's all it is, right? A grassroots organization of everyday Americans who just stand up for democracy. Yeah, how many times have we seen that translate in reality to violent communist organizations propped up by dark money? But yeah, totally grassroots, guys, first of all. Secondly, of course, I find it utterly hilarious that apparently Americans living overseas decided to organize their own No Kings protests in Madrid, Spain, because Spain is, of course, a country with a monarchy. Okay, they have a royal family. They're like, no kings, no kings. That's why we expatted. That's why we fled to another country, probably to escape Donald Trump, you know, part of that trend. That, of course, has a king. So, you know, great job there, ladies and gentlemen. And you really, of course, escaped like Western colonialism by going to Spain. Okay. Anyways, that said, so outside of the major cities, I think you start to notice a interesting pattern in terms of the protests that likely were not propped up for the cameras or astroturfed. As a matter of fact, just take a look for yourself and see if you notice the same pattern among the No Kings protesters that I am. Okay. So here's the protest in Marion, North Carolina. Again, what do you notice? Here's the protest in Charlotte, North Carolina, where, of course, I presume they are saying that they want more Arenas Arutska-style situations to be happening on their subways, and the right wing are bad and evil for being against it. Again, you notice that only about 30 people decided to show up. Here's even the rally in Atlanta, Georgia, and there's something interesting that you notice there as well. So in one of the blackest cities in America, and of course, black voters are a huge constituency, they overwhelmingly vote Democrat. Even there, for some reason, the crowd is entirely like old white people. Like, isn't that a little bit strange? And we'll talk about that in a second, but this trend goes on. Here's the one, for instance, in Massachusetts.
I'm here in Newton at the No Kings rally. Just absolutely unbelievable. They are showing up, they're standing up against the President of the United States, who thinks he's a king, he thinks he's a dictator, and Newton is saying no. Massachusetts is saying no to dictators. Thank you, Newton, for what you are doing here today and what Massachusetts is doing on No Kings Day. Thank you.
Right, so here it is, Asheville, North Carolina. Again, what do you notice? Well, if you have an acute sense of vision, or even if you don't, you should be able to see a pattern here, which is that these protests are almost unanimously full of geriatrics, old white boomers, even in a place like Atlanta, Georgia. The only people who show up look like they just came straight out of the Happy Homes nursing community or something like that, okay? And, of course, this trend is nothing new. Basically, every anti-Trump protest since his presidency began has been led largely by a bunch of geriatrics. But I do find it very interesting, tying it all back together with Antifa and the greater themes of Marxism and communism, basically nowadays being the ruling predominant types of people who are running Democrat politics, that, historically, communism and socialists and even like just leftist workers' movements in general came from the working class, right? You look at Soviet Russia, for instance. There's a reason why the symbol of communism is a hammer and a sickle, because usually it was the working people on the farms and the factories that fought and led communist, Bolshevik, etc. types of revolutions, right? As much as we make fun of the left today, historically, leftists in history were pretty tough, hard-nosed people. Same is true in China. But the problem, of course, that these people run into in America is that the working class of this country is not on the side of the communists. As a matter of fact, I would very much like to see some type of Antifa Portland activist try to go to a coal mine in West Virginia and try to win over those people. I mean, utterly ridiculous, right? So for a very long time, instead of understanding that the class war was not really going to work, a lot of the Marxists went after race, right? Racial communism, basically trying to divide the minority groups against the majority, and will stoke the flames of our leftist uprising that way. That's where you get things like quote-unquote anti-racism or critical race theory, or a lot of the crazy anti-white nonsense that is taught nowadays in our school system and universities and the like. But of course, the problem you can see, especially in Atlanta, that they're now facing is that even the minority groups don't really care very much for the Democrat Party or their communist handlers much anymore. So now, in desperation, what are they basically saying? Okay, who can we choose to lead our revolution instead? Who can be our proletariat? How about the geriatrics? Okay, so they're like, okay, everyone, attention everyone in the nursing home. You're going to go out right now and take to the streets and start the Marxist uprising in our country. That's not really a great sign or a symbol. First of all, how your movement or how your agenda here is going. But secondly, even on the front of the Democrat Party. These are people who used to be the party of the youth, and yet, of course, in 2024, you saw Gen Z, the youngest generation, make a dramatic swing to the right, and even younger as a whole. The only generation that went left from its historical perspective was actually like the baby boomer generation. And so, this is the situation that you're left with. And, I think it's really interesting as well, kind of the divide among baby boomers. I won't get too much into it, but to make a long story short, you notice, like, on one hand, there's a lot of old people, grandmas and grandpas, who are very, like, nice people in their old age, right? They actually care about the future of the country, and they want to hand over and hand down a great world to their children and grandchildren, the kind of the old people that plant the trees for future society. But at the same time, I think the growing phenomenon you're seeing is you see a lot of like just bitter, resentful, angry old people who are, those pictured right here, who basically in their last final gasp of everything they've done to destroy this country, because these are the same people who kind of started modern liberalism at Woodstock back in the 60s, while the other side of the baby boomers was fighting in the Vietnam War, that, they're just like, this is the last FU to their grandchildren, is let us protest on behalf of the political establishment that made us incredibly wealthy, but obviously screwed over our children and grandchildren, and let's make sure they don't have a country left to inhabit. So, that is the scumbag type of behavior you're dealing with. But again, not all that surprising. Of course, the energy today, a little bit lackluster, considering, of course, if you're going to invite a bunch of geriatrics who can barely hear you, I don't understand how you expect to have a energized protest. But take a look here as Never Trumper George Conway utterly embarrasses himself at this manufactured rally because no one wants to even chant along with him. Okay, so
Yes. Oops. Let me bring that back up. I could sworn it looked like the video was still live. Okay. Looks like we have a bunch of non-available videos right now. Everything like it's simmering down. I'm about to hop off soon too myself, honestly. What the hell? The video won't let me go back. Everyone is like they're gone.
Okay, so there you go. No kings, everybody.
Hey, Donald J, how many kids did you start today? Hey, Donald J, how many kids did you start today?
Yeah, so sprawling and vibrant, right, guys? As David Carlson here points out. The left spent years pushing lifestyles that made their base lazy, tired, and depressed, which is true, by the way.
Me, All right, so it's like everything is simmering down right now, and there's really nothing going on. So we're gonna finish this night off with this little video by Vincent, and then I'm out of here. I'll be back tomorrow.
Which is true, by the way. Now their young voters can't even summon the energy to be foot soldiers anymore. As the youth shifts right, all they have left are boomers. Not exactly the stuff of political movements, as you see this scene right here in Texas, which is...
Up the quality a little bit.
I mean, just look at that. Utterly ridiculous, okay? There you go. The future is clearly so bright for leftism, guys. Yeah, let's weaponize the old people, just as Karl Marx intended, right? Now, last thing I want to point out is the protest, actually the No Kings protest today in Toronto, Canada. Not exactly sure why Canadians are even getting involved in this, but of course they're that Trump deranged. But the reason I thought this was really funny is because first of all, they're chanting hands off, elbows up. Elbows up is of course the liberal slogan from this past election, which has already been widely debunked and disproven given that their Prime Minister Carney totally just now sucks up to Trump. But of course, hilariously, they had to rename this the No Tyrants protest because, of course, they can't say No Kings because Canada has a king, because Canada's part of the British Commonwealth, so their king is the royal family of the UK. So here they are saying No Tyrants, and this is their protest, apparently. Wow, so much energy, guys. Even up in Canada. Look at all the liberals. Bunch of geriatrics. That's a real trend, by the way, in the Canadian election. Like, the young people voted pretty hardcore conservative. It's the old people who said, F you to your future, right? Selfish. Total trend you see across the West right now is like these bitter clingers. Again, I'm not talking about all old people, because there's plenty of them who actually like do care. But of course, this is the type of garbage that you see right now. And, you know, it's interesting because a lot of these older boomers, you know, baby boomers had it really good when it comes to things like, you know, property ownership and all those things. So most of these characters are incredibly wealthy. They already have the generational wealth. They have multiple residences, all those things. They don't understand what young people are feeling. They don't understand even what's wrong with the country. Because you think they're living in the communities impacted by illegal immigration? No. But they're saying in basically their ivory tower or their manors that they're probably going to sell to BlackRock instead of even passing it down to their children. We don't understand this. F you, F Trump. Why is this even popular? But anyways, there you go. It, of course, does beg the question as to why Captain Wokistan herself, Toronto's liberal mayor, Olivia Chow, was not present at the No Tyrants protest.
Goes to show you the baby boomers who have it all, they somehow became liberal. Make it make sense. The baby boomers became liberal instead of becoming more conservative, and they're protesting, like Vince just said, not understanding the young people. Young people have become more radical, more far right compared to them becoming more progressive and left. That's far few in between. The leftists lost the youth. They've lost the male vote, the young male vote. The women, they're gaining. But a lot of women don't vote. They don't vote in elections. This is the first time a lot of them have voted since then. A lot of them voted for Trump. but generally speaking, I, to bring up all past elections, women don't vote in these elections. Women don't care about politics that much, and if they vote, it's based off of like something like they're single issue voters for the most part. It's always a single issue that they care about, whether it be abortion, um, if they're like a black activist, they care about stuff that's going towards the black community, even though the black communities had thousands upon thousands of dollars given to them, and what they do with it, they squandered it and did do nothing with it. So yeah, so a lot of women that are in politics for the most part, they get in politics, and really, honestly speaking, they're not even that good at it. the men are the men to this day are still better at politics than the women are. You may have like maybe like one or two base women in politics or whatever. Sure, that's fine, but for the most part, it's the men, because the women will always make it about themselves when it comes to politics. They will always make it about themselves. Let me teach you guys something right quick. When it comes to politics, women that come into politics always turn it into oh, why is no one paying attention to me? Oh, it's my time. I'm the politician. Look how based I am. Look how conservative I am. You know, that seems to be a new thing right now. We have a lot of grifting women that have made it to the right wing, that are grifting off the right wing, and now all of a sudden they're gaining so many simps from the conservative side to the point where now they're making money from it. There's a lot of grifting from, especially from a lot of these OnlyFans girls that come in here and claim to be saved. They come into the right wing space claiming to be saved and use their newfound fame to monetize themselves off of it. Like, you can't tell me how many times I've seen a lot of these chicks start a religious podcast and talk about how they've been saved. Give me a fucking break. A fucking shit show. That's what it is. Like, women in politics is the worst thing ever, because they're not that smart. They're not that articulate enough. Like, even to this day, men are still better at politics than they are. When it comes to women voting, that's just a single issue vote. Honestly speaking, we could do away with that, because all they're going to do is vote on who's going to give them a right to kill a child. That's it. They're going to vote on abortion. They don't give a shit about the economy. They don't give a shit about fixing nothing. They don't give a shit about making everything, making easier to live, easier to afford groceries, afford a housing, better the economy, hell, healthcare. Most of these liberal women that complain about the healthcare system, they only care about it because it pertains to abortion. Nothing else. For the most part, these liberal women care about abortion. They don't give a shit about all the other stuff like the cancer treatments, the stem cells, all that stuff. They don't care about that stuff. They don't care about none of that stuff. The pharmaceutical drugs, the only drugs they care about is Plan B. Anything that pertains to childbirth, childcare, anything like that of sorts, is not. That's the only thing that goes through their minds, because most of these liberal women are raging 304s. They're whores. They want to go out there and partake in a bunch of sexual activities that ends up leading to them becoming pregnant. So the first thing there on their mind is they're already not fit to be mothers. So the next thing you know, they're trying to go and abort the child. And because now Trump did something that many presidents probably wish they could do, is dedicate that to the states and let them decide on what they do about abortion. And now all these liberal women are so mad and just believe this nonsense that Trump got rid of abortion. No, state by state can decide on what they do with abortion practices. They can decide if they want to have abortion in the states. That is not up to the president no more. It shouldn't even be up to the president. Let the state. You got to go talk to your mayor, your governor. You got to talk to them about why they don't have abortion in your state. It has nothing to do with the president no more, because that is a big type of responsibility that the president should not have on his back. And people didn't complain all those 4 years with Joe Biden, didn't even try to fight to overturn that, to take back abortion in his during his presidency. No, no, no. Only when Trump did. Only when Trump came back into office, because Kamala ran on abortion. That was her whole campaign, was running on that alone, and she lost because she really had nothing else to run on. So, but I just summed up for you the liberal mindset of a liberal woman vote. Hell, even on the right wing, a lot of these women vote for abortion. Or some dumb shit like that. Or if they have their husband telling them that they should vote, of course they're gonna vote most times right wing. If the guy's the right type of leader. If he's some kind of bitch, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna vote Democrat.
In Canada today, but I'm told it's because she allegedly got too drunk at taco night last night. I don't know, pure speculation, but it really does beg the question. Where was she? Huh? Olivia Chow, we need you for the content.
I've had taco party where I have like 10 different ingredients, and then the different, so I have the salsa, the guacamole, and the different vegetable, different salads, and then different cheese, and then you have the chicken, and then you have the shrimp, and then you have the beef, you have soft taco, and then corn taco, and this kind of taco, like, yeah, so I love having taco parties.
She's so ridiculous. She would fit in so well with the American Democrats, okay? They can all have big taco party, in her own words. But anyways, guys, there you have it. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.
All right, so that's that. Anyways, y'all, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're gonna have a big stream tomorrow, cover some news or whatever. If something else big happens, I'll hop back on. But till then, see you guys tomorrow. Like the stream, leave a comment. You know the deal.